This is the video on Unit 15. Question 1, graphical method to solve the simultaneous equations. Right, y equals 5 minus x. You need to be able to draw that. It's a straight line because there's no squares. So I'm going to create a little table of values, x and y, and I'm going to choose some x numbers. Any numbers will do, but it makes sense that they're on this line. So I might as well choose 0, 2, 4, 6. So I'm going to choose 0, 2, 4, 6, just so they're on this line here. To find the y value, it tells me to start with 5 and then take away the x value. So to find this answer, I start with 5 and take away 0, which must be 5. Start with 5 and take away 2, which is 3. Start with 5 and take away 4, so you get 1. And start with 5 and take away 6, so I get minus 1. So I plot this line. 0, 5 means the coordinate is 0, 5. So 0, 5 puts me there. 2, 3 puts me there. 4, 1 puts me there. I can see it's going right because it's in a straight line. 6, minus 1 puts me there. So my straight line looks like it's coming down through there like that. Obviously I'd use a ruler if I had one. The other one is 2y equals x minus 5. Now, that's a bit more complicated. It starts with 2y. I want either y equals or x equals. So what I'm going to choose to do is I'm going to move the minus 5 to the other side by adding it. And if I do that, it will become 2y plus 5, because it was minus on this side, equals x. Same idea, give myself a table of values, x and y. And this time it's got x equals, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose some y values this time, and then I do all this and it will tell me what x equals. So let's choose some y values, again the ones that are on this line. So if I say 0, 2, 4 as my y values, so I go 0, 2, 4, and find the x value. To do that, it tells me to double the y value and then add on 5. So I'll double this, still 0, add on 5. Double this, still 4, because I'm doubling 2, sorry, and add on 5 makes 9. Double this, 8, add on 5 makes 13. Now if I look at these, plotting them, 5, 0, this means when x is 5, y is 0. So when x is 5, y is 0, here. When x is 9, y is 2. The problem is it's not going to fit on the line. So I want some numbers that are a bit lower than this. So let's try, rather than 0, 2, 4, let's try minus 2 and see if that fits on. So we try minus 2, this one here. If I double minus 2, it makes minus 4, and add 5 makes 1. So I know that 1, minus 2 is going to be on the line. So if I go 1, minus 2, there's another line. Let's choose another one, let's choose the minus 4 one, see if we can get a few more points. So we have to double it and add 5. If I double minus 4, it's minus 8. And minus 8 add 5 is minus 3. So minus 4 and minus 3. We go minus 3 on the x, minus 4 on the y, and you can see it is making a straight line through here as well, like that. Okay, so the graphical method is where you draw the lines, and the answer is where they cross over. Now, the common mistake here is to leave it like that and think you've finished. You haven't quite finished yet, because it's about solving, and if it says solve, you need an x equals and a y equals. So your answer is x equals the x value where they cross over, which is 5, and y equals the y value when they cross over, which is 0. So it's x equals 5 and y equals 0. Okay, that's question 1 done. Question 2. Match the equations to the graph, and it says explain your reasoning. So you are going to get, I think it's by 3 marks if you get them all right, 2 marks if you get 3 of them right, 1 mark if you only get 2 right. But you'll get extra marks for the explanations. So I think we've been through a lot of these in class. X squared minus 6x plus 9, start at the 9. This tells you it crosses the y-axis at 9. So if we go down and we see which ones cross at 9, This one looks like it crosses at 5. This one crosses below. Go down a bit further. This one looks like it could cross at 9, and this one crosses at 10, so it's looking like it's probably this one. We go back up. So it crosses the y-axis at 9. The minus 6x, that tells me it's going downhill where it crosses. Downhill where it crosses. So if we go back, the one we thought it was this one, and it is going downhill where it crosses, which is pretty good. The other one we thought it might be, well, it looks like 10, it's not going downhill, it's going uphill. So now I know it's this one. It's the only one that fits. The last thing is this x squared means it's a happy shape, like that. So it's that one there, that shape. So A definitely matches with graph 3. Okay, so this one was A. The next one. And if you said what I said here in terms of reasons, you get your marks. Right, here. These two things tell you two places where it crosses the x-axis. You write it as x plus 3 here equals 0 is where it crosses the x-axis. Solve it, move the plus 3 across, x is minus 3 is one answer. And here, x minus 2 equals 0, move the 2 across, x equals 2. So this is where it crosses the x-axis. So we'll look for a graph that crosses the x-axis at 2 and minus 3. Right, this one crosses at 1 and 5, so it's not that one. This one crosses at 2 and minus 3, so it definitely could be that one. Are there any others that do that? This one crosses at 5 and minus 2, and that one only crosses it once, so no. The answer here is it crosses the x-axis at 2 and minus 3, so therefore it is graph 2. Okay, 2 and minus 3. So number 2 matched with B. Okay, the next one here. First thing you notice is it's got a plus 10 at the end. This means it crosses the y-axis at 10. Y at 10. So it doesn't cross here at all. Doesn't cross here at 10. Scroll down a bit further. That could be 9, but that one's crossing at 10. We've already identified that one, so it is that one. Let's do a bit more information because it crosses at 10. It's going uphill because of the plus 3. It's going uphill where it crosses. And then the minus x squared means it's a sad face. So it's that shape. And if we look at our graph down here, it does cross at 10. It is going uphill and it is that sad face. Like that. So this is graph 4. And that was C. Now for D, a bit more tricky. This is trying to give you coordinates of intersection, but I mean you can't do it by default, so you have to explain your reasoning for this. What I would say here is I would actually expand the bracket. So 3 minus x squared and then minus 4, I'm going to write it as 3 minus x squared means times itself, and then we're going to take away 4. Before we take away the 4, let's multiply these brackets together. 3 times 3 gives you 9. 3 times minus x is minus 3x. Then minus x times 3 is another minus 3x. And then minus x times minus x, a minus times a minus is a plus x squared. Let's simplify the middle two terms. It becomes 9 minus 6x plus x squared. But then we still have to take away this extra 4 at the end, so I'm going to write minus 4. We can now tidy it up a bit more and put it in a form we're more used to. We're used to seeing the x squared first, so I'm going to put the x squared at the beginning, and it's positive. Then put the x term next, that was minus 6x. And then we're going to group the 9 and the minus 4. 9 minus 4 gives you positive 5. So this graph tells me it crosses the y-axis at 5. It's downhill when it crosses it, and it's a happy face. So if we look at this, crosses the y-axis 5, it's downhill when it crosses, and it's a happy shape, so it's this graph here. The other thing they're trying to get you to see is this is completing the square form. The minus 4 at the end and the 3 minus x inside is trying to tell you the turning point. So this turning point here is coordinate 3, comma, minus 4, remembering that the minus 4 is the y point where it crosses, and the 3 is the opposite sign of what you expect, and it's 3 here, because it's on the right hand side, and they've put it back to front in this bracket. Tricky one that though. So that one is graph D. So this one is D. Okay, that's question 2 done. Alright, expanding the expression. First of all, do the first two first, which gives you, when you multiply it out, x squared, x times x, minus 3x, x times minus 3, then 2x, and then 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. Before you deal with the last bracket, simplify. X squared minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1x. I don't usually write the 1, I'm doing it for ease at the moment so you understand it better. And then I'll leave the minus 6 at the end. So that's the first two brackets done. Then we multiply by the last bracket here, x minus 5. So when you do that, you multiply x squared by x, which gives you x cubed. Then you do x squared times minus 5, which is minus 5x squared. Now move over to minus 1. Minus 1x times x is minus 1x squared. Minus 1x times minus 5, minus times a minus makes plus 5x. Then move to the minus 6 and do minus 6 times x, which is minus 6x. And minus 6 times minus 5, again minus times a minus is a positive, and 6 times 5 is 30. Finally, it doesn't actually say the word simplify, but they are expecting you to simplify. The x squared terms and the x terms will group together. So your final answer is x cubed. If you've got minus 5x squared and you take away another one, it goes down to minus 6x squared. Plus 5x, and then you take away 6, it goes below 0, so it's minus 1x. I'm just going to write the silent one this time and just leave it as x, and then plus 30. Okay, what type of graph is it? Well, because when you multiply it out you get this x cubed, the answer is it's a cubic graph. Write down solutions to the equation. So when is this 0? Well, this is 0 when either this bit is equal to 0, or this bit is equal to 0, or this bit is equal to 0. So it's equal to 0 in 3 different places. The first place is when x equals, move the plus 2 across, minus 2 is one answer. It does say solutions, so it's expecting more than one. X equals positive 3, and here x equals positive 5. So you have these 3 solutions. Where does the graph intersect the y-axis? The y-axis is always the number at the end. So if we go back up, the number at the end was plus 30. So it crossed the y-axis at plus 30. Okay, that's that one done. Question 4. Write down the equation of a graph with a maximum point at 4, minus 1. Now if the maximum's at 4, minus 1, the key thing first of all here is it's a maximum, not a minimum. So it's a maximum point, it's going to be this way up. And to get a graph like that, it must be a minus x squared. Okay, there must be a minus in front of something to make it a negative. And then, when it's a maximum or a minimum point, it's a turning point. Because if it's a maximum, it goes up and comes back down again, so that's a turning point. So in terms of doing this, it's minus, because the coordinate is a 4, it's actually x minus 4 squared, because in the bracket, remember, the sign is the opposite of where the turning point is, and the minus 1 must just go at the end. Because it says the equation of a graph, it must be y equals all of this stuff. So recap, minus, because it was a maximum, which means it has to be this way up. The x minus 4, the reason it's minus 4 is because it's got a 4 here and it's always the opposite sign. And the minus 1 is the same sign. Right, Next one, calculate the exact area satisfied by these inequalities. Now, I'm not going to be marking that one in the same way because that is actually not a possible question. To show you what this is trying to get you to say, if I draw the first one, x squared plus y squared is greater than 16, this is representing a circle, because every time you see x squared plus y squared, it means it's going to be a circle, and the 16 is the radius. So actually that's a circle of radius like this. Okay? And because it says when x squared plus y squared is bigger than 16, it means all of the area around the outside. So bigger than 16 means all of this area, which goes on forever. It then gives you extra conditions. It says when x is less than or equal to 4. So the other two coordinates here are 4, minus 4. So when it says x is less than or equal to 4, this line here means everything to the left of that going on forever that way, and all of this going on forever that way, which is still an infinite amount of space. And if y is less than 4, if y is less than 4 here, it means that the y value must be lower than 4, so if I put a line across like that, it must be everything in the area around the circle, including this little bit here, and it goes on forever. The problem was, I think they meant to write this inequality perhaps the other way round, or have an extra box around it. So that one is not doable at the moment. Okay, so if we look at it, next question, next page. Find the values of x that satisfy this. So the values of x satisfy, so when is it greater than 0? In your books, this is one of those quadratic inequalities. It'll be in your contents page. And the idea I gave you is either the ears or the mouth. Sorry about that. Right, so first we have to draw it. So we're going to draw y equals x squared plus x minus 20. And to draw it, you first look at it and think, well, it's a positive shape. It crosses at minus 20, which is down here. And when it crosses at minus 20, it's going uphill. So it's going uphill here. It's going to come up through here, go down, and come back up again. So there's the graph. So you want to see where it's greater than 0. Well, 0 is the x-axis itself, because that's when y is equal to 0, so it wants to be greater than 0, so it wants this bit, and separately it wants this bit, so it wants the ears, not the mouth, the ears. The key thing is to find out where these points are. And to find out where these points are, you factorise this equation, and you write it as double brackets. So we're going to rewrite this as y equals 2 brackets next to each other. To start with an x squared, you must have an x and an x. To get minus 20, you think of all the ways of making 20 when you multiply. It could be 1 times 20, it could be 2 times 10, or it could be 4 times 5. You need to combine a pair of these to make positive 1. The only pair that will work with is 4 and 5. And to get positive 1, that's a 1 there, to get positive 1 out of 4 and 5, it must be x minus 4 and x plus 5. So once you know that you've got it written like this, you know where it crosses. It crosses at when x minus 4 is 0, and when x plus 5 is 0. And if you solve them, x must equal minus 5, which corresponds to this point, and x must equal 4, which corresponds to this point. Finally, to give your answer as an inequality, the x value must be bigger than 4 to be this bit. So one answer is x is greater than 4, and the other answer is this bit, and it must be on the left hand side, so x must be less than minus 5. And that's this part of the line here. Okay. Right, it says use an iterative formula, so that's in the iteration section, to to find one real solution to this graph. So it's going to cross over here, so we can see roughly where it is. It's between -2 and -3. So let's rearrange this. So let's move the +7 across. X cubed minus 2x plus 7 equals 0. We move the 7 across, we're going to get x cubed minus 2x equals -7. Then we're going to move the minus 2x across, so x cubed equals -7 plus 2x, so I'm moving that across. And finally we're going to make it x the subject of this bit, so we're going to get x is, because it's a 3 at the top, it's the cube root of -7 plus 2x. So now you've done that, you need to be able to start and get a starting value for your x, or x0 or your x1. So let's find somewhere that's close. Let's try -2. And if this for some reason doesn't work when we're doing it, we can try -3 or even -2.5, and eventually when we start doing it, it will give us repeated answers. So x0 is -2. Put this into your answer on your calculator, so you're going to type in -2 and you're going to press equals, which saves -2 as your answer. Then you're going to type in the cube root of -7 plus 2 bracket answer, like that, and then you're going to press equals. That will give you whatever x1 is. Scroll down a bit. Okay, that's the last question. So when you do that, I'll just do it for now. So if we put in -2 in there, I'll do it in my head because I haven't got a calculator on me. 2 lots of -2 would be -4, -7, take away another 4 is -11, and the cube root of -11, in my head I don't know, bear with me. Calculator won't work on that one. So, because I haven't got a calculator, you have to trust me, it's going to be whatever the cube root of -11 would be. You'd write that as a decimal. You press the equals button again to get x2, and you press it again to get x3, and if you had a calculator you'll get decimals. Eventually, after pressing it multiple times, you'll get an answer, and it should be roughly there, somewhere like that, -2.2 or something like that, when you do it repeatedly. Apologies, not having my calculator on me. Okay, it says 5 decimal places, so you're actually going to have to press the equals button an awful lot to get all 5 decimal places out. So press it a lot of times until the number on the screen is the same and stops changing, and then that's your final answer. So once the number stops changing, you can write down your x, and it might be say it's 8 or whatever. Keep going, and then write down your final answer here. Hopefully it's -2 point something. Okay.